Welcome back to Chasing Labels. I think this is what, Andrew, correct me because you know I'm not good at counting. Is this episode 16?
I believe it is.
Okay, good.
We are in our mid-teens now with our podcast.
The puberty is coming on.
Say.
I'm feeling the hormones are coming.
Hormones are kicking in. You know, things are starting to get weird.
Yeah, it's starting to get weird here. And with our guest here, I'm not saying he's weird or anything, but he's with us. He was going to be a guest maybe about a month or so ago, and we finally rescheduled and we got him on with us for this episode. And before if you don't know who we are, I'm Stephen Billings. Andrew Cabral is with me as always.
I am.
And our guest this week, he is a active cinephile. He's all you can, if you're into like movie film groups, he's all over the film groups. He's always like throwing out like this. His big thing is the sales. He's like the first guy that sees the sales and he posts. He's like, hey guys, there's a new sale from 88 Films. Hey guys, there's a new sale from this label, that label. I'm like, he's always on top of it. But we got Matt Schlee here. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic, man. We just, it's any day we can talk about movies with another person.
Yeah, I mean, I
won't. Yeah.
I won't say that I canceled strategically last time, but I think we've got some really exciting stuff that I get to join you guys for today. So, kind of worked out in my favor.
It did. We almost did an episode at the beginning of this week, and I decided not to do it because I was like, I don't want to, forgive my language, cock block Matt here because it was Criterion's, and I was like, I can't do that to him. He's going to want to talk some Criterion's. Also, I did get my second vaccine shot, and I got really sick, so we couldn't do it anyway. But yeah, so it's great to have you on, man. We do have a big. I wouldn't say it's a huge. We decided to give Kino a rest this week because Kino is what takes up all the time. They have like 20 releases every week, so we it's not short, but it's a very stacked episode in the sense of its content. So and what's coming out. So where should we start, Andrew?
Let's start at just a little couple of individual releases. I know you wanted to get into.
Yeah, little tidbits.
First up. Yeah, first up is Second Sight is going to be releasing a UHD 4K edition of The Guest. Now, not much to say about this because it was kind of just a tease on their Instagram page.
Yeah.
So nothing truly official. But The Guest is a movie that came out several years ago and was kind of like a independent film hidden gem.
Yeah,
if I remember.
Yeah, directed by Adam Wingard, who's gone on to do some bigger films. I think he just do the recent Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he did do Godzilla vs. Kong, and he's also done other films as well. Like he got his start in the horror realm.
Yeah.
He did You're Next. He did that VHS movie from a few years ago.
Yes.
This is all like 2010s type work. And he did like that Blair Witch movie that came out a few years ago, which was like a tease at Comic-Con that they snuck that in on people.
I'm not a big fan of that movie, but
I never saw it actually.
Yeah, I saw it. It wasn't worth seeing. Matt,
I really like You're Next.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Matt, have you seen The Guest?
I have not. I have no familiarity with this particular film. So,
well, it's a movie that came out like during this period where I feel like the kind of the renaissance of like 80s kind of crime, like weird movies, all the movies had like synth soundtracks. This particular movie has like a synthy soundtrack. It has this kind of feel to it. It's like very much like a weird 80s, like, exploitation-y kind of movie. And Dan Stevens is the lead in it. He's fantastic. It's kind of his breakout movie, I would say. But it's a really cool, culty action, kind of got some comedy in it movie. And Andrew, you've seen it though, right?
Yeah, I saw it years ago. I'm pretty sure it made the rounds on Netflix for a long time, and that's where a lot of people got into it, which was like whether it was on DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming. That's when it really kind of popped off a few years ago, and it came out in 2014. So that's a while ago. What's the math on that? 7 years ago?
I can't count. We just talked about it. I can't count. Why you trying to ask me questions about it?
Seems like an eternity ago, 2014. But yeah, so Dan Stevens, of course, has gone on to bigger and
he was the
larger
beast.
things.
in Beauty and the
Yes,
Beast.
he was.
I mean,
Yes, he was.
I would say I
And
like the guest more.
Yes, I would as well. Yeah, he's got like I'm looking at his IMDb and it's just like scrolling
He
down.
did do that.
So,
What's
of course,
what he played in that? He did the X-Men show. What's that?
Legion.
Yeah.
Really good. Done by Noah Hawley. Really fantastic. He was, of course, got a lot of his claim to fame on Downton Abbey.
Oh.
If people were into that show,
I can't say I have.
it was around. Yeah, it was like 2010 through 2015. So in that era is when he came
Okay.
into his career. So, and this is the second site release. So I'm assuming it's going to be Region B locked.
Probably.
And it's, you can probably get it here if you have a Region Free player. Although, I say Region B locked, it's going to be a 4K release, so you can watch it here anyway.
There you go.
So I don't know what the heck I was just saying.
Well, a lot of times they'll, if this is a big enough a release, they might put special feature content on Blu-ray, which means you're gonna have to have a Region B player to watch them features. So, but
yeah, that's one thing we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Is how usually 4K discs are just the movie and maybe a commentary or two, maybe a special feature, but they usually put the abundance on special features on the Blu-ray disc.
Yeah.
Affinities comes with one.
Yeah, and the other thing is this like I said, it hasn't been official yet, but it looks like it's going to come out around Halloween. So look out for an official announcement probably soon. But I'm excited about it. So
yeah,
what's the other tidbit?
So the next little tidbit I had was something I wanted to just sneak in here is a Studio Canal release. And this is a release of Joe Dante's 1981 film, The Howling, is getting a UHD 4K release. Now, this is also coincidentally coming out in October 25th. And The Howling has gotten several releases over the years in many places.
Yeah.
I know here it's got a Scream Factory release, I think.
It does. I got the steelbook of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is coming with really fantastic cover art, fantastic packaging in general, and just comes in like one of those like thick, like box, like
rigid
collector's
box.
sets.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me just through the pictures.
Kind of like they've done a line of John Carpenter's films like Escape from L.A. or Escape from New York and things like that. It's kind of in the same type of vein of them sets. So, have you seen The Howling, Matt?
I'm like rapidly IMDbing over here.
Yeah.
And because it rings a bell. I don't think that I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a werewolf film. I feel like the title doesn't give it away. It's not my favorite. It's okay. It's a little cheesy. I do like Joe Dante, but it's not my favorite of the werewolf. I would much rather watch the weird movie Wolfen. You ever see Wolfen? Yeah, it's that movie's weird, and it's a werewolf movie, and I think Warner Archive put it out. But you like The Howling, Andrew?
I do actually. I saw.
Oh well, then I don't want to hear anymore. Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. So I saw it a few years ago, and it's right before Joe Dante would obviously become more famous with his next film. I think in his filmography range would be Gremlins.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gremlins.
So it was right before that. But what's really cool about it is a cult horror film. It's a low budget like horror film from early '80s, and what he was able to do when it came to the special effects with the werewolves and the transformation, of course, all that kind of stuff is really cool. I dig the story. I really like it.
Maybe I need to revisit it, but I know that like when it another big werewolf movie came out that time. Of course, American Werewolf in London had came out right around that time, and that's kind of takes away the shine for me a little bit.
Yeah, because it has that Rick Baker special effects in American Werewolf in London. Talk about something that's gotten more re-releases than anything.
Arrow put it out. I'm sure Scream Factory's put it out.
So many.
Yeah.
I so many re-releases. But this for people who are interested in this release specifically, it is coming with an exclusive new 4K restoration of the film.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if other people put this out, if they're going to have the rights to that restoration or have to do one on their own. That's when that word exclusive kind of kicks in. It is coming with a bunch of special features and looks like a whole bunch of extra like cool stuff with like
postcards,
20-page booklet, postcards, poster, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's The Howling. And
That is The Howling.
so let's move on into our first slate of things. Warner Archive.
Here they are. Here they are out of the mist. Kind of like
That's how they always do it
John
now.
Carpenter's The Fog.
Yeah.
Just things walking out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And this is another another interesting tidbit here is these are all August titles, I believe, and we are in the middle of August, I think.
These are September.
No, these are September releases.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay,
these
I
are all
was way
September
off.
releases. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really tell anymore with Warner Archive because, like we've said many times on this show, they don't really have a social media presence right
Yeah.
now, so their releases are just kind of popping up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a good slate here, and the slate here is a Straight Time, Santa Fe Trail, The Window, The Naked Spur, and A Night at the Opera. So a small slate, but a really solid slate, in my opinion.
I would agree. I've seen. I've heard. I've definitely. I think I've seen parts of A Night at the Opera. It's like one of them things where I feel like I saw it on TV. You know, it's a Marx Brothers thing, and
Yes.
But I did see Straight Time, and Straight Time's pretty damn solid. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, Matt, have you seen any of these, or do any of these interest you?
Yeah, I've seen A Night at the Opera, and
Awesome.
I really is A Night at the Opera included in the sort of many iterations of Marx Brothers Blu-ray sets that have already been released? I feel like it is.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, who put out the recent? It didn't. God, who put out the recent?
There's a set that Arrow put out years ago that I have.
Yeah,
and then I would assume Warner put out the box set that was Region A that was circulating more recently, but I think that it's included in there. So haven't seen the others,
that's a good fact.
but it seems like a lot of interesting stuff here.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I know. Didn't Universal put out a Marx Brothers box set here a few years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know if it has A Night in the Opera in it, but it has a lot of their early stuff. I mean, most of the stuff is pretty early, but A Night at the Opera, I think, is probably one of their best and most well-known films, in my opinion. It's one that I really like a lot. I haven't seen a lot of Marx Brothers, but A Night at the Opera is definitely one of my favorites. Also, like Steven said, Straight Time, starring Dustin Hoffman, 1978, so it was in that kind of 70s, 80s window where Dustin Hoffman, or even 60s to 80s window, where Hoffman was just kind of having the career.
Yeah, he was
of
the
his
man
life,
at the time.
literally.
Yeah.
He was huge at the time.
Yeah.
Just doing role after role of really great performances, and this is a really great performance.
Yeah, he's also uncredited director on this. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably very involved. It feels like he's very, this is very much a character study kind of movie, about a man who, it kind of goes through the journey of a man who has been, oppressed by the prison system. Or, he's been kind of made out to be a criminal his whole life. And it kind of goes through that whole thing of, somebody that just, even when he gets out of prison, it feels like he's still in prison. He's,
yes.
They're still they're making him check in all the time, even and his what do you call it? His
parole
officer is just he's an asshole.
It's played by M. Emmett Walsh.
Yeah.
People may know him from he's a character actor for his whole career, basically.
If you saw him, you'd know him. You'd be like, oh shit.
If you saw him, you know him.
Yeah.
If you heard him, you know him.
He's always played scuzzy characters. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was in, I think, a couple of Coen Brothers things as well. I think he just pops up. But anywho, really solid film, good character study, like Steven said, and also kind of really harping on the theme of, can an ex-convict be rehabilitated, or are they just have that black mark for life?
Yeah.
Will society let them rehabilitate themselves?
Also important. Gary Busey's in this movie too.
Gary Busey is in this. I almost didn't recognize him. Also, what's her?
Teresa Russell.
Kathy Bates is in the film.
Oh yeah, Kathy Bates plays Gary Busey's wife.
She has a couple of really good scenes. I'm like, that's Kathy Bates. I hardly recognized her. She's in the movie. She's a great actress, of course. But some of these other films here, I wanted to point out before we move on. The Naked Spur is kind of the true highlight for me, because this is one of the Anthony Mann and James Stewart Western collaborations post World War II.
Yeah, we talked about, I think, what was it, Winchester 73, I think they put out not too long ago.
No, that's actually the last one that still needs
I thought didn't we talk about, I thought that got a release.
No, it was something else. It was something else that got a release.
Or, you know what? I think we talked about that on one of Dan Skip Allen's shows one time. That's what
we had to do an episode on it. I remember that. But yeah, there's a couple of...
He did Far Country.
Yeah, he did.
And he did the Furries.
Yeah, he did a lot of those films. But he also... Yeah, there was that team up post-World War II where Jimmy Stewart wanted to do like more, like, not serious films, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they teamed up and did a whole bunch of films, and I have most of them, like The Man from Laramie, The Far Country, Bend of the River is another one. Winchester 73 still needs a Blu-ray release. That might be the best of them. Ones.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic one. And I still need to get The Far Country, and I still need to get Bend of the River. The Far Country does have an Arrow release, for those of you keeping track at home. And Bend of the River, I think, has a Kino release. And unfortunately, The Man from Laramie has a release from Twilight Time, but it's been sold out for a long time.
Okay.
But I have a feeling that's going to get a re-release from somebody. My guess is Kino picked up the license to that. That just seems to be my head. See, we're not even doing an episode where we have Kino, and they still work their way in.
Making their damn way into the episid.
Still doing it.
We love them so much.
Yeah, speaking of Kino, briefly, they didn't release like their upcoming schedule for November and December. So kind of, if you're curious about that, that's floating around online as well. And of course, they're probably going to announce all those releases individually eventually anyway. But getting back to War Archive, that's pretty much the slate for me.
Yeah,
the window is really good.
Yeah, I was going to say the window. What's interesting about that is the director. He didn't do a lot of like known, like his, in the sense of his directing, he's not known for a lot, but like he was a cinematographer for a long time.
Yes, he was.
And he did one particular one that I know you're going to love, Notorious.
He did.
And I Married a Witch. He did I Married a Witch.
Another great one.
Yeah. So he's a very prolific cinematographer.
Yeah, he also did The More the Merrier, Road to Zanzibar. And yeah, so I'll tell you this, The Window is actually really good.
Is it?
It's a tight movie at like 73 minutes long, and a lot of suspense being held for 73 minutes long. It's basically one of those like Boy Cried Wolf stories where this boy has this active imagination, and he's always kind of getting in trouble because of it, and he witnesses a murder in his apartment complex, and no one believes him. Like the police don't believe him, his parents don't believe him, so he kind of gets into a lot of deadly shenanigans. Because of that, and it's really, really good.
Okay, Matt. So, do you partake in a lot of Warner Archive?
You know, I'm a big fan of Warner Archive, kind of pre them going dark like they have, and you know, still a fan. But you know, they've done so much great work and released, you know, so many. Their restorations on the discs tend to be just sublime, and it's really a shame that, you know, we were kind of talking before that. You know, I didn't even realize that they had announced a new slate of releases until you sent me the schedule for this. It's like they're so sort of obscured and so deeply invested in the streaming world that they've kind of let Warner Archive go by the wayside, which is a real shame. But, you know, there are some really interesting things in this set. I agree the Naked Spur was the one that I haven't seen that caught my eye. So I think... You know, definitely some stuff that's worth checking out here. I was really surprised in reading the description of Santa Fe Trail, because that sounds like just a wet, like a typical Western, and it does not read like a Western.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, and I don't know if we brought this up, but when it comes to Santa Fe Trail, that's also directed by Michael Curtiz. I don't know if you brought that up, but yeah, that's great director there, so... might be worth checking out just for that. I think that happens a lot with him. Once again, I think Andrew, you said that once. You were like, "Look, we don't seek out Michael Curtiz; he just finds us somehow." Like his movies
I don't know if I said that, but it's completely true.
Yeah, like his movies just sneak up on you. It could be anything, and then you're like, "Oh, look at this space movie, Michael Curtiz." He probably hadn't done any space movies, but I'm just saying, like,
if there's any movie made between like 19 like in the 30s and 40s and 50s. Michael Curtiz is probably
he might have touched it.
He has 178 director credits on IMDb, and they're pretty much all feature films.
Yeah.
Even going back to like the 20s.
Well, he made Casablanca, so they were just like, just do Casablanca again, man. It's.
Yeah, and this is another team up between Michael Curtiz and Errol Flynn, as well as Olivia de Havilland. Apparently, Olivia de Havilland and Errol Flynn were in like 9 movies together.
Wow.
And this was the 7th out of the 9, I think.
Where's that indicator set? That should be an indicator set right there.
I know. And Errol Flynn, like Olivia de Havilland said, I would love that. And this is another one.
That'll be like the Dietrich and von Sternberg.
Yeah, it really would be. I'm curious. I watched the movie for this. It's an okay Western.
Yeah.
It plays with a little bit of history with like, the like abolitionist John Brown and a lot of stuff happening pre-Civil War and whatnot. It's one of those kind of like faux history type movies where you have like famous people playing like
real life people.
You know, like Errol Flynn is Jeb Stewart and Ronald Reagan is George Custer, and it's like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Ronald Reagan's in this movie. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
and in a prominent role too.
Wow,
as George Custer, and it's I have to get this movie because I'm trying to get like all of Olivia de Havilland's films, so I'm probably gonna end up getting this someday. What I really miss now that we're talking about Warner Archive, I miss their sales.
Oh, yeah, God, I miss it so much.
And I know we have
Matt.
We have Matt on here who's into the sales. I miss those sales a lot.
4 for 44. It was just so sweet.
Those were great.
I loved it
because I used to clean up on those. You know, because it wasn't just the 4 for 44. It was like 5 for 55, 6 for 66, etc., etc. And then sometimes you would find like I remember like the last one I found a coupon code that was floating around online, and it knocked it down a little bit, so I missed that sale. And now that everything is basically, you can only get these through either Amazon or whatever other sites. They're not cheap. They're really not cheap. You know, they're about 18 to $20 a piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just picked up the Prince in the City, and I am buying Straight Time. So, and they were both like $20 a piece. Yeah. Roughly.
Yeah. Didn't you just get Shadow of the Thin Man as well?
Yes, I did.
That's another one we'll have to get. And so 2 more of those Thin Man movies have to get releases, and then I think they could close up shop.
Yeah, then they can stop putting out. No. There's a lot more Warner Archive.
Yeah, there's a lot more to go. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
just get to that Thin Man 6 film line.
If they're gonna do this, then they need to just sign over the rights to the entire Warner catalog to somebody who will do it justice.
Criterion, maybe.
Somebody. I mean, do what the other labels do. Do what the other studios do, and like sell the rights out to whoever's the highest bidder.
I'm sure Kino would be happy to release the entire Warner catalog in the span of like 8 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to talk about a Warner Brothers film, technically, that I'm shocked is getting released by another label.
Yeah.
That's a big one coming up pretty soon towards the end of the episode. It's a tease, a foreshadowing, if you will.
All right, well, head us over to 88 Films then.
Yeah, let's move over to 88 Films now. We're in the UK. We're wearing our Union Jack type clothing.
Let me ask you this. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but like, the name of their label's 88 Films. Are they going to stop after 88 movies?
I think they've released more.
They've probably released more than 88 movies. I don't know why they're called 88 Films. I've never looked it up, but I'm sure there's a reason.
I'm sure there's a reason. If anybody out there from 88 Films is listening, come on the show and give us the whole 88 Films backstory,
yourself, please.
Yes, give us all the information. But we have a slate here from 88 Films, and this is a slate for I think they're December releases. Am I right on that?
I think it's a combination
or
of
just
some November and December. I think.
Okay. Yeah,
and Matt, I apologize. There was a few that I had left off by accident, but I hadn't seen them, so.
Yeah, there's going to be a few more here than I think Steven told you. Trust me, I've looked at this list over the last 2 weeks so many times. I almost have it memorized.
That's sad.
So,
okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
It really is. No life. My life is movies. So we have The Black Cat, or just Black Cat, Shaolin Mantis, Good Guys Wear Black, Zombie High, Armor of God, The One, The Flag of Iron, and Legendary Weapons of China. Is that all? Yeah, I believe that's all of them.
That's all that I need to hear.
Yeah, I'm on Blu-ray.com, and that's where they have this list here. And yeah, did I mention Dragons Forever?
Well, see, they got a few releases that were announced, but they're kind of more reissues than anything. Like they also reissued like the Anaconda, 4 movies.
Oh yes.
And I'm pretty sure, I know Dragon Forever. I have the limited edition of that, so this is just a steelbook reissue. So, I think the main the new titles are for the most part everything you said, except for I don't know. You didn't say the one from Jet Li, right?
Which one's that?
The movie's called The One.
Oh, I did say The One.
Yeah. The One is I think a reissue. It's a steelbook reissue. So
oh, is it a reissue?
I'm pretty sure.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I watched a bunch of these movies for this episode. Now, first of all, our guest Matt, any of these are interesting you at all? Or have you seen any?
I am going to let you guys do the heavy lifting on this section. I am number one. Somehow, maybe it's just eluded me this far, but I do not have a single 88 Films release in my possession, and most of these seem, to skew kung fu, and I'm not going to lie, that is not my genre of expertise. So
okay, yeah.
No
I'm just getting into it pretty hardcore myself. Like I have all the Jackie Chan stuff from 88 Films. So I'm, I've watched a few of them, and then of course the Shaw Brothers set's coming out from Arrow, and I've already got that. So kung fu's pretty new to me myself. So you're not alone, man. 88 Films is a kind of, I think, of more culty. You could say they're almost more in the line of maybe a Severin. I mean, not necessarily like a Severin full on where they're doing a lot of exploitation stuff, but they're you could say they're the Severin of kung fu, culture. They do a lot of Shaw Brothers stuff. So Shaw Brothers also did horror movies. They also did, action and things like that. So they are pretty niche. But yeah, I haven't seen, the only thing I've seen here is the Hatchet for the Honeymoon. Which is an Italian kind of. It's Mario Bava, which I know. I'm assuming. Have you heard of? You've heard of Mario Bava, right? Yeah. Didn't he do a film called Black Cat? There's a lot of movies called Black Cat.
Oh, there are. When I went looking for this Black Cat, all of the other ones showed up.
Yeah.
All
there's
of them.
15 movies called Black Cat.
Yeah, and I'm reading here. I completely forgot to mention. Yeah, Hatchet for the Honeymoon, which is directed, like you said, by Mario Bava, is probably the best out of the movies that I watched of several of these. And yeah, it's that Mario Bava, that Italian giallo type style film, and I really liked it. I'm actually really surprised that they're the ones releasing this, because I wasn't expecting this release from them. But it's one that I'm really fascinating. It's from 1970, so it's right in that 60s, 70s Italian horror wheelhouse. That's really, some great stuff. Argento, Fulci, Bava, and all these people. Yeah. Umberto Lenzi. I really enjoyed that film a lot. I think Legendary Weapons of China is a Shaw Brothers film.
Yeah, I think that.
I think I saw the logo at the end.
Yeah, there's 2 movies that are Shaw Brothers movies.
Okay.
I think the Legendary Weapons of China and the Flag of Iron are both Shaw Brother studio releases.
And yes, and I know Armor of God. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to be picking that up because it's Jackie Chan.
It's already ordered, buddy.
Oh, okay. kind of led you into that one. That was a softball over the plate.
Yeah, 88 Films had already put out the second film.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Was it Operation Condor, right?
Yes. So
or Armor of God 2, as they called it.
And so about completionist stuff. I mean, I got to get that. I mean,
you kind of have to.
I got to. I mean, I don't have to even think about it.
What's cool about Armor of God is it's like someone out there saw Indiana Jones and was like, what if we make Jackie Chan Indiana Jones?
Yeah. It's got a mystical edge to it. Yeah.
And make it a kung fu movie, because it feels very much Temple of Doom with Jackie Chan.
See, you're selling it right now. You're selling it.
Yeah, that's the way I would pitch it to people. He's not an archaeologist, but he's like some type of treasure hunter.
He's an adventurer.
Adventurer or something like that. And he's just, and of course, there's all kind of kung fu action and all kind of cool stuff that's happening in that movie.
Stunts,
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Zombie High is a low-budgeted horror film that's not very good. It's a cult film through and through.
It kind of sounded like The Faculty with zombies.
It is very much The Faculty.
Yeah.
Very much Faculty.
Okay,
with Virginia Madsen.
Yeah. This is one of her early roles. One of her early roles.
Yeah, she was in Candyman. She was in Sideways.
Oh, I love Sideways.
Yeah, I remember you
fucking
really
Merlot. We're not drinking. If they get Merlot, we're not drinking Merlot.
I saw a bottle of Merlot in the fridge the other day, and I thought of that exact scene from Sideways. And I almost was going to do like an Instagram post about it, but I
hey, see, we were talking about movie quotes before. There you go. I have one right there.
Yeah,
Matt. Andrew will throw out random movie quotes during an episode, and I won't catch it, and he'll be like, Steven, did you not catch my quote? Like, no, I don't. I'm like, no, I missed it. Sorry. Go ahead and explain it because that makes it cool now. You know?
Yeah, I guess. I'm always dropping quotes in everyday life conversation just to throw people off, keep people on edge. As you can tell, I'm not very sociable.
I was like, dude, you're going to have to make it more obvious. You can't just drop random quotes and not even give any kind of cadence to it or anything. He just says stuff. And I'm like, that was a quote?
Yeah, I guess. Speaking of bad cadence in a movie, they are putting out that Anaconda collection. Steven and Matt, did you know that there are like 4 Anaconda movies?
Well, have you seen
I did not know that.
Have you seen only the first one, Matt, like me?
I've seen only the first one.
I was not aware that there were more to see.
Well, you know, if does John Voight come back from any of them? Does like come back as a zombie?
I don't know, Steven. I saw the end of that first film. It was pretty definitive end for that character.
I don't know what accent that is. It's like a Spanish. It
was supposed to be Cajun.
I don't even know that. Yeah.
It was supposed to be Cajun, but it definitely wasn't.
I think he was playing the character he was in The Deer Hunter. Wasn't he in The Deer Hunter? And he's like just like been on the river for a long time.
No, he was in. Oh no, not The Deer Hunter. He was in the John Boorman film Deliverance.
Deliverance, that's it. Yeah.
He was in Deliverance. But that movie, I remember when that movie came out in 1997 because I was about 10 years old or so. I didn't see it in the theater. I don't know. I probably saw it years later. But that movie had. Like J-Lo was in it, Ice Cube, Eric Stoltz, Owen Wilson.
That cast should have been the cast of Fast and the Furious. Just think about it.
That would have been a hell of a cast.
That would have been a badass cast of Fast and the Furious. You know, J-Lo, Ice Cube. I mean, Ice Cube would have been the Vin Diesel. You know,
clearly,
yeah,
clearly. Also, I love these subtitles for the sequels where it's like, the Anacondas, the hunt for the blood orchid, and then like Anaconda 3, offspring.
Ah,
and
Jesus,
then
there's more.
The last one is Anaconda's trail of blood. Oh, and like some of the cast for these are apparently John Rhys Davies was in Anaconda's Trail of Blood, who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
Well, they got to take one of these sequels to Florida because Florida's just scathing with pythons and.
With pythons?
Well,
really?
I don't know about anacondas, but pythons definitely.
Yeah, anacondas are, I think, they're South American.
They're bringing exotic snakes over as pets, and then they're escaping. So that's how Florida's getting rampant with their problems down there. But
But finishing this up here, I do want to talk about one more movie on this slate, and that is Good Guys Wear Black.
The best one.
Because of its, I guess, cultural touchstone for many, many people. Because it is a Chuck Norris film. And it is, I believe, the Chuck Norris film that made him, like,
the man he is
today. And at the time, Steve and I were talking about it pre-show, he was not really doing a lot of acting. He was in a couple of movies. Famously fought Bruce Lee in one of was it the beginning of Enter the Dragon?
Enter the Dragon, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they have a fight, but he was just doing like bit parts, and he wasn't really feeling the whole acting thing, and he was a professional martial artist. That was his thing. And he was setting up like a karate tournament or something at the time, and they convinced him to do this movie, and it ended up making him a star. Good Guys Wear Black.
Then he went on to do like a ton of movies with Canon Films.
Ton of movies in the 80s, predominantly 80s and 90s. like Delta Force and all those types of
what's the one he
macho
did?
action movies.
Yeah, what's the one he did? Didn't he do a movie with a dog like everybody else did?
Probably.
Yeah. It's not Turner and Hooch. We know that's the Tom Hanks one. He did shit. It came out in the 90s. Come on, Andrew. I know you're doing a search right now.
I don't know Chuck Norris at all.
Come on, man.
That's
Jesus.
the
Matt,
thing.
No, I'm
Norris,
not encyclopedic
you don't know the
enough
Chuck
for
Norris?
that one.
Forget it. Somebody's going to figure it out. Jesus.
All I remember is the Walker Texas Ranger show, and that opening song
My
was
dad
so cool.
made me watch Chuck Norris movies, and I was like, Dad, even as a kid, I was like, Dad, he sucks. He can't act, Dad. So please, would you please put on the better actor, Steven Seagal, please? Jeez.
It was never about the acting. It was just like how many people could he beat up in a movie.
Yes. But that's why I liked Steven Seagal, because it was more rated R. I was like, yes, he just broke that dude's hand right there.
I was never a Steven Seagal person either.
Well, he's
I
an
missed
idiot.
out on
He's an
Chuck
idiot,
Norris,
but he was entertaining. I mean,
I was more, when it came to action people, I guess Schwarzenegger, Stallone.
But they can't actually fight, okay?
True.
I like the guys that
they
actually
just
can
punch
actually
people
kick
because
your
they're
ass.
big.
I was more into like Van Damme, or or even like
I missed out on so much of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was only like in my later years that I got into all those people, like Van Damme, and I still have a bunch of Van Damme stuff I have to watch.
Which then 88 Films has put out a lot of Van Damme recently.
They put out a ton of his stuff.
Yeah. In Hell, I think just got a release, which is a prison movie. Where he fights people. Haven't seen anything like that before.
Steven, I think I found that dog movie you were talking about.
Oh, what is it?
It's literally called Top Dog.
Top Dog, yes.
It came out in 1995, and he is... Chuck Norris plays a cop, and he has a dog companion. I guess like a dog cop. But what do they call those? Canines? Yeah, canines?
That's what they call them. Don't you like dogs?
I do.
You're a big dog guy, right?
I am indeed. And the cover of this is just Chuck Norris holding a dog in a giant police badge.
Yeah.
That's all they needed to sell this movie in 95.
I guess. Well, this is right before, I think, Walker, Texas Ranger, so he...
It was in that realm,
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
But let's move on now.
Let's get to the big
we
stuff.
We gotta get into the heart of the show. This is when...
Matt's starting to perk up now. He's like, okay, all right.
We're entering
I think I
my
have something
wheelhouse.
to say
This
now.
is when... this is when our guest is here. This is why we brought him on.
Well, if I meant to say this at the beginning, but Matt has guest. He does a lot. He guests on a lot of different shows, but primarily now he's been guesting on the Indicator Cast, which primarily focuses on all the new Indicator releases coming out. So he comes in and out of there, usually talking about the new releases. So this is what he's here for. Okay, so
yes.
this is where he's going to really give us. Didn't you guys have the guys from Indicator on?
Yeah,
on one of your episodes?
Unfortunately, I was not able to be on that episode. It's a real, it's really tricky contending with time differences between Australia,
Yes.
the UK, and America.
Yeah, because what is it? What John Matthews is his
That
name?
is the host of the show.
Yeah. He's from Australia,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the time zone
And
is
several of the guys who do that show actually are Australia based, so usually I'm kind of adapting to their time difference and then, introducing a couple of guys from the UK, but I'm not gonna tease anything that they wouldn't want me to tease, but we are hopeful that there will be another conversation in the future that maybe I'll be able to take part in. But yeah, definitely go seek out that episode. It was really great to just listen to them, get to pick those guys' brains, and they're really good guys. And if any of your listeners are not in our Indicator fan Facebook group, the guys from Indicator are very frequently kind of on there and offering insights into the releases, and it's a good community.
Yes, it is, man. I'm in that community. A lot of good guys in there, and girls, and it's a show you should go listen to it. It's on Apple Podcasts. I listen whenever you guys put out something. I'm there to listen. You guys I want you to do. You guys need to do more. Do more.
I'm going to give all the credit to John, and I know Ryan Kendall's heavily involved, and those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys run the show, and they're gracious enough to let me take part from time to time. So
yeah. Awesome, man. Well, let's get into the Indicator stuff. So it got teased a while back There was like in one of their newsletters, they had this Mae West teaser, and also of course Kino had put out a bunch of releases of Mae West, and we were talking about it previously. I was like, look, you guys can go after these Kino releases, but I have a good feeling that Indicator's going to put out something. They're going to put out a set. They're going to do something with Mae West. And, of course, here we are, finally. Big, humongous 10-film Mae West set. Mae West in Hollywood, 1932 to 1943. Gorgeous set.
This thing is stunning.
Yes.
That artwork is
Let's just talk about the aesthetics real quick before we get into the movies. Matt, how do you feel about the aesthetics of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. One thing that we always kind of talk about on Indicator Cast is like Indicator, in terms of the art that's on the individual boxes, they love to lean into the old school poster art, which, sometimes that's really all that you need to capture, what a great movie, especially with this like sort of older, these like painted, beautiful movie posters, kind of letting those like come back to light. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a beautiful set to hold in person, and they really did it. They went all the way with this one.
Most definitely. Andrew?
Yeah, this is a stunningly gorgeous set. Also, this does come with one more film than Kino had already put out.
Ooh.
And just for optics, I guess, the Kino didn't come out with a box set. They just came out with each individual movie. Separately, so the value price-wise with this set is off the charts.
Yeah.
Because you do get 10 movies. I've only been collecting Indicator for about a year now. Have they done a 10-movie box set before? Or I don't think they've done one this big.
I can't think of one. I'm trying to think how many. The biggest one I would think in terms of just count of movies would have maybe been the Sam Fuller set. I feel like had 7 or 8 movies.
Yeah, I would say there isn't. Maybe about 7 movies is the top of maybe the biggest they've ever done. If I really wanted to, I could turn around and run up to my shelf real quick and look. But I feel like we shouldn't do that. So, but this is definitely the biggest set with the most amount of films they've ever done.
Yeah, it is about 10 to 15 pounds more price wise than their typical sets. I'm on their site now, just looking at all their stuff, and that even with that price increase, still worth it.
Well, I've already pre-ordered this, and I can tell you that if you're in the U.S. with the shipping and everything, it's right around $100. I think if I remember correctly.
It's like 90.
It's like $98, 95, 90, something like that. So
yeah, shipping always gets you.
Yeah, for us, but it's Indicator always puts out really quality product, and so there's no complaining here.
No, none here at all.
But I guess let me run through the features real quick before we go into like if we've seen any of these films.
Do you want to list off the movies first and then the features?
Yeah. So 1932 we have Night After Night, directed by Archie Mayo. We have She Done Him Wrong, directed by Laurel Sherman from 1933. We have I'm No Angel, Wesley Ruggles from 1933. We have Bella of the 90s, which is from Leo McCarey from 1934. We have Going to Town from Alexander Hall from 1935. We have Klondike Annie from Merle Walsh from 1936. We have Go West Young Man from Henry Hathaway from 1936. We have Every Day's a Holiday, a Edward Sutherland 1937 film. We have My Little Chickadee from Edward F. Klein from 1940. And we have The Heat's On from George Radoff from 1943. So this set's going to be released November 22nd, so right at Thanksgiving. This is what you can watch at Thanksgiving while you're eating your meals. Just a slew of Mae West films. So these are all limited edition Blu-ray set, and it's the UK premieres for 9 of these films, and one of them's a worldwide premiere. So we have 4K restorations of I'm No Angel. We have 2021 restorations of Bella of the 90s, Go West Young Man, and Every Day's a Holiday from a 4K scan. We have a 2018 restoration of Going to Town and My Little Chickadee from a 4K scan. We have a 2017 restoration of She's Done Him Wrong from a 4K scan. We have a high-definition remaster of Night After Night, Klondike Annie, and The Heat's On. We have original mono soundtracks. We have audio commentary on She's Done Him Wrong by critic and film historian Pamela Hutchinson from 2021. We have an audio commentary on I'm No Angel by critic and writer Frannon Smith Neem from 2021. We have audio commentary on Klondike Annie by academic and curator Alois Ross from 2021. We have a audio commentary on Go West Young Man by writer and film historian Nora Flores from 2021. We have Mae West at UCLA from 1971, an archival audio recording of the great performer in a conversation at the University of California in Los Angeles. We have an introduction by Little Chickadee by Dr. Harriet Fields, granddaughter of W.C. Fields, who is an actor, comedic actor that's in that movie. We have Lucy Bolton on Mae West from 2021. The writer and academic discusses the irrepressible. I can't speak. I can't speak. Say it, Andrew.
Irrepressible.
Or irrepressible. Thank you. Stardom of West. We have Christina Newland on Mae West from 2021. The writer and critic looks at West's glamour and attitudes to sex. That's good. That sounds like an interesting one. Because if you don't know anything about what Mae West was kind of like a sex symbol of the time. And we have two Super 8 versions of I'm No Angel, a pair of original cut-down home cinema presentations, each consisting of different scenes. We have a Super 8 version of The Heat's On. We have original theatrical trailers, new and improved subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. We have a limited edition 120-page book with a new essay by Iris Vaise, archival articles, contemporary critical responses, and film credits. World and UK premieres on Blu-ray, limited edition to 6,000 units, and more to be announced. Region B. So that's a ton of stuff. Anything sound exciting to you, Matt?
Yeah, am I allowed to say all
anything?
Of it?
Yeah, you're allowed.
Yeah, no, I mean all of it for sure. I'm always a big proponent of the Super 8 supplements. I just think those are really cool and kind of transport you back to like how people might have viewed it at the time, and you know, it's just always really fun to kind of throw on like right after I watch the movie in the beautiful restoration, and then I always have to like kind of give the special shout out to the indicator booklets, because a lot of our favorite labels, Criterion, have really kind of dropped the ball of late, in my opinion, on quality booklets. Indicator always comes through with the heavy, the standard releases usually have a 60-page booklet, so 120 pages of great, written content. Whew.
I think that one thing I left out is that if you buy directly from Indicator, there is going to be an exclusive double-sided poster. So it's from designs for the films She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel. So if you buy directly from Indicator, you can get a poster if you're into that. So, but anything to add? And so you've seen a lot of these, haven't you, Andrew?
Yes, I've seen 8 out of 10 of these.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen is My Little Chickadee. Matt, are you familiar with any of these?
Yeah, I actually watched a handful of, not realizing they were going to come to Indicator, watched a handful of them when they had a collection on the Criterion channel a few months ago. The one that kind of feels of note to me is, or stands out in my mind, is She Done Him Wrong, which, early Cary Grant, very young Cary Grant, and Mae West kind of famously played a heavy role in the beginning of Cary Grant's career. So kind of an interesting artifact there. But, she's a sort of unique soul in film, and
she's got that "Hello, boys"
recognizable voice. Hey. Yeah.
Yes, My Little Chickadee. Yeah, she does that voice. When you watch her movies, you start to get like some of the cartoons, like the Saturday morning cartoons, really like borrowed from her in a lot of things. Andrew, please shed some light on some more Mae West in this set. What's worth watching? All of it? Some of it?
Yes, I would say, I mean, I've only, like I said, 8 out of 10. The only ones I didn't see was Night After Night and The Heat's On. I just couldn't find them anywhere to watch. And similar to what Matt said, I had watched most of these a few months ago on the Criterion channel when they had a whole Mae West collection. And yet again, I can't recommend the Criterion collection enough, Criterion channel enough, because it's not just Criterions, it's just stuff that you never know what you're going to find from classic Hollywood. And this is like, a lot of this stuff is pre-code stuff as well. And pre-code stuff is not too difficult to find these days, but it's difficult to find these movies of this era in good quality, with really great presentations. And we know that just from what we read, Indicator's going to put out these in immaculate conditions from new restorations, which a lot of those films of that era definitely needed. And we talked a little bit about Mae West when we talked about those Kino releases back in one of our early episodes. She was, a unique symbol and figure in the early days of the golden age of Hollywood. As Steven said, a sex symbol, someone who really pushed the envelope in her movies when it came to sexuality and her characters and the boldness of them at the time. Really fantastic stuff. That's why this set is amazing to me, because it's a historical set in many ways. Up until this year, I don't think any of her films had been out on Blu-ray at all.
Yeah.
Up until a couple months ago, and this is even better. I want to also point out that the special features on the Kino releases and this release are different.
Okay.
So if you've gotten those Kino releases and you're thinking about getting these, that would be the main difference. When it comes to the presentations, I'm not sure if they're the same, if they're culled from the same restorations or not. I would hope so, but you really never know.
Yeah.
When it comes to the different labels releasing the same movies, you really never know. But this is a set that, you have to buy this set if you're a classic Hollywood fan. And it really would make a lot of people hopefully invest in region-free players just for this set.
Yeah.
It seems like if you didn't have a region-free player, now may be the time.
I don't know why it takes some people so long to do that. Guys, do it. You're handcuffing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, typically people don't know where to find them, and they assume they're expensive. And they're really not these days. They're kind of the same price as regular Blu-ray players are now. Maybe even slightly cheaper, who knows. But the tech is a lot cheaper now than it was years ago.
Yeah. One last thing about the aesthetics, too. Apparently, when you slip that band down, you get a little bit of cleavage. Just saying. Adds in with the sex.
You do, actually.
Adds in with the sex symbol stuff. A little bit of cleavage.
I mean, it is apropos for Mae West.
Yes.
It wouldn't be, if she wasn't pushing that sexual envelope, it wouldn't be quite Mae West. And I just like how it looks like there's like a silhouette around her, and it looks like flames. Like she's just that radiantly powerful.
That
hot. I guess. Literally, in her movies, she does play, the female.
She plays a forward woman,
romantic lead.
Usually,
and the movies are relatively centered around her for the most part, which I also really love. And of course, as Matt said, early Cary Grant. So I have to get it.
You have to get it.
Because I'm trying to get all the Cary Grants.
Yeah.
So I have to get it. And a lot of these directors are people we've talked about before, and people who have shown up in other prominent ways. Leo McCarey, Raoul Walsh, Henry Hathaway. Those three are probably the most well-known of these directors.
Awesome. Anything else to add on Indicator? No? All right. Well, let's move on.
We move on to the grand finale.
Grand finale here. So we got it's been talked about. We had to miss out on the right off the bat talk about the 4K news on Criterion, and initially there was a big announcement that there was going to be a slew of Criterions that were going to get 4K releases. We just didn't know when they were going to happen, and then finally the November announcements dropped, and so we're getting 3 4Ks this month.
Yeah, we can do. I mean,
I'm sorry, 2 4Ks.
I think it's 3.
No,
it's
3.
Oh, is it 3?
Yeah, but quick summation on quick summation on all the recent doings, just for our listeners at home who are probably already hip to all the news, is that we've been talking about on this show for months and months and months. When's Criterion going to get in the UHD 4K game? They keep getting undercut by other companies putting out titles that they have already put out on Blu-ray in 4K. When are they going to get in the game? Well, they're in the game now.
I really didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, I really was a proponent of like they're just not going to get into this at all. So I'm surprised.
I was fine. Honestly, I was fine with it. I was
too.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, it was. If they had never announced this and they were just never going to do it, it wasn't really going to stop me from buying their stuff.
Yeah.
For me personally, I thought the window was rapidly closing. I think I said that in our previous episode. I thought the window was closing for them to do this, but they've just kind of kicked it back open.
Do you
think? They did announce. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think all the, as you say, undercutting, like where other companies are releasing 4Ks of previous Criterions, you think maybe that's why they've decided to jump in the game? Because they're like, well, they might steal sales from us for our other previously put out Blu-rays, you know?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm assuming that these were all planned out months and months and months ago, and they were just waiting for everything to be finalized.
Oh, of course, it's definitely planned, but the 4K stuff has been in the works for. We've been seeing some 4Ks from these companies for at least a year now or so.
Yeah, but I meant specifically for Criterion. Like they didn't just like drop these out of nowhere.
Well, I know, but I'm saying behind the scenes, they know that other companies are getting into the game, and they know that if they don't, you know, they're already putting out stuff that they've already put out, then they're going to need to catch up. So.
Right.
Maybe in the behind the scenes they were like, well, I guess we're going to have to jump in because we can't have this. We can't be putting out like a Blu-ray of this movie and then suddenly another company's like, we'll put out the 4K, and then everybody goes and buys the 4K. So
they did, yeah. A few times that happened. We talked about it a bunch of times. But their 4K slate, there's six movies they announced were three that are already on here, and then the other three were The Red Shoes, Jane Campion's The Piano, and what was that sixth one, Steven? Do you remember?
Shoot. Come on, Matt. I know you're reeling over there. I don't know. I don't have a good memory like that.
I know. I just really want to look it up, but of course when you go to their site, it's just like their new releases. But anyway, it doesn't quite yeah, it's not really important right now because we'll just get into these
A Hard Day's Night. That's what it was.
That's it. You're right.
A Hard Day's Night. Thank you. The irony of that is I'm pretty sure I have it literally right next to me. Yes, I do. If you hear that bumping, that's just me. That's just me grabbing. I do this sometimes, Matt, where I have my movies like around me, so I'll just grab them. And
he just literally comes. It could be anything. You just say a movie, he's gonna pop it off screen somehow. Like,
I was just talking about. Yeah, people can't see this at home, but like I've got indicator stuff around me, so there's like indicator Criterions around me because of the sale.
Let me try this. Can you please grab 12 Monkeys? Is it right nearby?
No, that's on a That's on a shelf somewhere.
Okay, you just blew it. Never mind.
I did just blow it. That was my one chance.
All right, so yeah, let's go through this slate here.
Yes.
Is this the part of the show where we spent 45 minutes arguing about the letter K?
Yes.
Okay.
This is it.
Yes.
That's why I came
the last one. Yeah. It's all about that cover. Is the only thing
I've never seen such debate about a Blu-ray cover before. But the slate is Menace to Society, Citizen Kane, Mulholland Drive, and then a 5-movie box set of Once Upon a Time in China, and then La Strada, the Fellini film. So those first 3 movies are all 4K UHD releases, and the last 2 are just Blu-ray releases. So, Stephen, where do you want to start when it comes to these bad boys?
Let's start with the Blu-rays. Let's do La Strada.
Okay. Let's do La Strada. I waited a good decade for this movie, and now they've put it out. But, of course, this is in the Fellini box set, so if you have the Fellini box set, the essential Fellini box set, this is kind of irrelevant to you, I guess, in a way. Although I'm pretty sure the booklet in here is going to be exclusive. That seems to be the difference between the individual releases and the box sets. So La Strada is the Fellini film from 1954, my favorite Fellini film, where it's coming with a 4K restoration undertaken in collaboration with the Foundation and the Cineteca di Bologna with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, alternative English dubbed soundtrack featuring the voices of Anthony Quinn and Richard Basehart. Audio commentary from 2003 by Peter Bondinella, author of The Cinema of Federico Fellini. Introduction from 2003 by filmmaker Martin Scorsese. Giulietta Messina, The Power of a Smile, a documentary from 2004. She's the star actress of the film and a lot of early Fellini stuff. Federico Fellini's autobiography, a documentary originally broadcast on Italian television in 2000. And then trailer plus an essay by film critic Christina Newland.
Awesome. Well, I'm not into Fellini too much yet. I've only seen probably the worst movie to start off with him, which is 8.5 apparently. I own Armored and haven't watched it yet. So, Matt, how much Fellini have you seen?
I'd say I've probably seen the sort of core of like canonical Fellini. Of course, I have seen this movie. I agree, Andrew, that it's one of his best, and it's a spectacular film. I haven't watched the restoration from the box set yet, but I do have the box set. So as lovely as the new cover art for this is, and I hope that people who don't want to shell out for the box set go buy this, I will likely not be adding this individual release of La Strada to my shelf.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get the box set eventually, so I'll probably wait and get that instead of this single release. But some people don't want to shell out $200, whatever it is. I mean, was it like $100 at the sale, right around there?
It might be a little bit more than that.
Maybe
I know it came out at the end of last year, and I had just bought a house, and so I said I'm going to hold off on this Fellini box set. I don't need it right now. And of course, I walked into a Barnes and Noble, and I wasn't going to walk out without it, so that was my mistake. So,
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Yeah, the Fellini set regular price, like full price, is $250. So if you cut that in half with the sale,
it's like $225, yeah,
no,
or $125. I meant $125.
Yeah, that's around. Yeah, so if you can get as close to $100 as you can, but
Fellini's not everybody's cup of tea. So
very true.
And La Strada, from what I understand, is a little bit different than his other works.
Yeah, that's why I tell a lot of people not to start out with 8.5. That's where I started out.
Where I started, yeah.
And that's because it's like there's like two different eras of Fellini.
Yeah.
There's like his early era, which takes a lot from Italian neorealism and is more, straightforward storytelling. And then there's the later Fellini, which is more avant-garde and more, metaphorical and thematic. And like 8.5 is all about like the stresses and life of a filmmaker and stuff and things like that.
Yeah, Steven, I think this is probably actually like an ideal re-entry point, because 8.5 is definitely really like sort of dense to dive into Fellini, and
you could say it's pretentious, maybe. And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm just saying that the idea of pretension is like you have to have some knowledge going into it, and maybe you need to know a little bit about the director himself before to understand that movie better, right?
I think it'd probably help, but I don't think you'll have any problem digesting La Strada, and it's great. Good. It's wonderful.
Okay, all right, I'll do it. I'll go back and watch that. I'll give it a try.
Do it. No peer pressure.
There's no peer pressure if you're asking me to watch a movie.
Whatsoever.
Well, I mean, look, it's a movie. You're not peer pressuring me. I'll do it. But awesome. The next one, please.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in China, the complete series. And this is, like I said, a 5-movie set from the 90s. And these films are all obviously from Hong Kong cinema. And the first 3 films, I believe, star the well-known actor, martial artist, Jet Li. And these films, I assume, all take place kind of late 19th century China, where there's just a lot of tumultuous political stuff happening when it comes to Western influences in China and all kind of things. And Jet Li is playing this like larger than life like folk hero who was around at the time, kind of fighting back against a lot of Western imperialism and things like that. And the first film, and these films are all appropriately numbered like 1, 2, 3, and 4, so nothing too extenuous.
Does it have
about
some
that.
cool secondary name like the Anaconda series?
I wish. Oh, I wish. I'm just looking for.
Once Upon a Time in China, The Offspring.
Yeah. Well, then I gotta find a list of special features.
Once Upon a Time in China 2, The Blood of the Orchid.
That would be incredible.
It's down there. They're down there. 6
Are they down there on the
just gotta keep
website?
going, man. Just keep going.
Hold on.
They're at the bottom.
Enough.
They're past the video.
Oh my goodness! There's a gigantic video here. You're right. Oh my god! Oh, this is gonna be.
This is great podcasting.
All right, this is great podcasting. This is why Steven's here, to keep me on track. So we get 4K digital restorations of Once Upon a Time in China, Once Upon a Time in China 2, 2 and 3, and then new 2K digital restorations of Once Upon a Time in China 4 and 5, all presented with their original Cantonese theatrical release sound mixes in uncompressed monaural or stereo. Alternate stereo Cantonese soundtracks for Once Upon a Time in China and Once Upon a Time in China 2, featuring the original theatrical sound effects and monaural Cantonese soundtrack for Once Upon a Time in China 3. Early on here, it looks like they're really only concentrating on the first 3 movies. Once Upon a Time...
I was going to say, I have the Eureka set that came out maybe like a year or so ago. That's got the first 3 films, so that they seem to get the most attention, I think, just because Jet Li's in it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So next up here is Once Upon a Time in China and America from 1997 in a 2K digital transfer featuring 5.1 surround TTS HD master audio and monaural Cantonese soundtracks, along with a stereo Mandarin track with the voice of actor Jet Li. New interviews with director Sui Hark, Film Workshop co-founder Nansun Shi, editor Marco Mach, and critic Tony Raines. Excerpts from audio interviews with Li conducted in 2004 and 2005. Deleted scenes from Once Upon a Time in China 3. Documentary from 2004 about the real-life martial artist hero Wang Fei Hung, who I mentioned, who Jet Li was playing. From Spikes to Spindles, a 1976 documentary about New York City's Chinatown featuring uncredited work by Sui. Excerpts from a 2019 masterclass given by martial arts choreographer Wen Wo Ping, and archival interviews featuring Sui and actors John Wakefield, Donnie Yen, and Yen Shi Quan. Behind-the-scenes footage for Once Upon a Time in China and Once Upon a Time in China and America. Making of program from 1997 on Once Upon a Time in China and America, trailers, New English subtitle translations, plus an essay by film critic Maggie Lee and an essay on the cinematic depictions of Wang by novelist Grady Hendrix. A new cover by Zheng Shan. So this is a massive set filled with lots and lots of good stuff. And I like that cover art. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, it's and it's got a nice. It looks, the big booklet in there looks like it's going to be nice and hefty, and when you get that, it has the cover art like pulled all the way out. They unfold it.
It's like a mural.
It's like a mural. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Anything to add on this, Matt?
Well, I said earlier that I wasn't a connoisseur in sort of kung fu genre, and I maintain.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that you don't know anything about.
I know nothing about this, but I think they might convert me here. I'll definitely. I mean, this looks like a really good set. I'm sure I'll pick this one up and check it out. And I will say I can't, and maybe I've just been missing it and not scrolling far enough, but I can't remember Criterion ever dropping like full box art on release day like this.
Yeah, I feel like that's something they just started doing. Yeah, you don't typically see like the full design. Usually, it's just a cover, maybe. But yeah, it's because I don't think they did that for like the Bruce Lee set. I don't know if they did that for that or not, but yeah.
If only they'd done it for the Citizen Kane set, they might have saved us all some heartache.
That might stop the talk on that a little bit, maybe, if we saw the whole thing. But I will say, I don't know if I'm going to get this or not. I want to watch these other 2 movies and see if it's really worth it. Because, I already have the first 3, and the 4 and 5 doesn't have Jet Li in it. I mean, what are we doing here? Is it...
There also doesn't seem to be a lot of love for 4 and 5 in this set in general.
Okay.
when it comes to a lot of the deets. I mean, just reading off of what we just
Yeah.
looked at, it seems like those first 3 get a lot more concentration.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that might be in somebody's wheelhouse. Apparently, Matt hasn't gotten around to it yet. He will, though. I think he will. This will be the one. But
I'll give it a chance to.
Speaking of Jet Li,
I'll give it a chance to persuade me over to the side of kung fu films.
Cool. Well, we'll have to talk off camera. I got some suggestions for you.
yeah. Speaking of kind of flipping the script onto another spectrum, we have a David Lynch film getting a 4K release.
That's your warehouse. This
is
you like David Lynch, right?
Yeah, this is my favorite David Lynch film of all time. This is the one that kind of the basis for my love for art, avant-garde, artsy cinema and whatnot, art house cinema. And this is Mulholland Drive, and this already has a Blu-ray release from Criterion. So, and I'm assuming we're gonna get the same special features. So let's roll through these with kind of the newer disc specs to start with. This is coming out November 16th. So right in that November sale window. It's pretty good marketing by Criterion. So in the 4K UHD edition, we get a new 4K digital restoration supervised by director David Lynch and director of photography Peter Deming with 5.1 DTS HD master audio soundtrack. In the 4K UHD edition, one 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR and one Blu-ray with the film and special features. Interesting. I wasn't expecting Criterion. I mean, we were just talking about I wasn't expecting them to jump into this game anytime soon, but they even went one step further with doing HDR, which is something that Kino hasn't really gotten into when it comes to older films. So that's fascinating to me. We're getting Dolby Vision HDR. I'm losing my voice here, clearly. So, but on the Blu-ray and DVD, you get a restored 4K digital transfer supervised by director David Lynch and director of photography Peter Deming with 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio. So kind of similar specs there in terms of the audio. Interviews from 2015 with Lynch, Deming, actors Naomi Watts, Justin Theroux, and Laura Herring, composer Angelo Badalamenti, production designer Jack Fisk, and casting director Joanna Ray. On-set footage, deleted scene, trailer, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, plus a booklet featuring an interview with Lynch from 2005 edition of filmmaker and writer Chris Rodley's book Lynch on Lynch. And then new cover by Fred Davis. And kind of looks like the same old cover.
It's the same cover.
It's the same cover. It's the same cover. I'm going to buy this because it's David Lynch, even though I already own the Blu-ray. And I'm a sucker. I own this movie. I had this movie on DVD. I had it on... in the Criterion Blu-ray, and then I'm gonna probably get this too. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the old Blu-ray though.
I own two. I probably will own 3 versions of the movie Crash. So I mean, so yeah, we're all suckers.
Yeah, I mean, not much in the way of special features, even on the original disc, and there's nothing new here. Well, you're never gonna get an audio commentary from David Lynch.
Lynch doesn't talk about his movies. Yeah.
Yeah, he really doesn't talk about his movies. Matt, what are you thinking about this release?
Yeah, I'm a sucker right there with you, Andrew. I love David Lynch. Setting aside like Twin Peaks is like the greatest cinematic creation of the last recent history for me. Mulholland Drive is probably my favorite of his work, and so I'll definitely buy this again. Obviously, I have the Blu-ray. I was a little surprised that with all the fanfare for the sort of 4K UHD debut for Criterion, that they didn't opt to come up with some new cover art or anything like that. But of course, the Blu-ray is not too old. It does make one wonder if they're going to, I don't think they'll reissue the whole catalog in UHD, but if they're going to be a little bit more willing to venture into like just 4K upgrades of existing, movies the way that they have with Blu-ray upgrades of DVDs. So because this is basically just an upgrade of the Blu-ray to include a 4K disc, but
just adding a new disc.
But I'll definitely be buying this and have a duplicate on my shelf because I love this movie and I'm excited to see it in all of its 4K gloriousness, if that's a word.
It is now.
I guess glory would be the appropriate word, but I made up gloriousness, so I think David Lynch deserves that.
He deserves it.
Yeah, it does. it's David Lynch. You can just make up anything of that when it comes to him.
It just becomes surreal.
Yeah, that's my abstract word for David Lynch's glory.
Yeah, he was my entry gateway into surrealism. We did a whole episode back when we were doing Cinema Discovery Project on Eraserhead, and that was a trip in and of itself. Just to talk about that movie is insane.
Don't mind, I'm going to turn around and flip on a light here. If you can't see, I'm bathed in darkness.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it, man. Let's go ahead and do Menace for Society.
Yeah, because we got to save the best for last.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to hold me back when we get to our final one.
Yeah, we're going to do Menace to Society next, Matt. So
yes, we'll do Menace to Society right now. And this is a brand new entry into the collection in general, I believe.
Yes.
Because Menace to Society has never been in the collection in any previous form. No DVD, no Laserdisc. Actually, I'm not really sure about the Laserdisc. I
don't know about Laserdisc. Maybe Laserdisc.
I thought that it was, but I could be wrong.
Probably. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. Maybe I'm just speaking out of turn. But this is the 1993 film by the Hughes brothers, and this film has already had a Blu-ray release by itself before. I'm not sure who put that out. Was it Universal or someone? I don't know.
I have like a cheap Blu-ray release.
Yeah,
of this,
so do I. Albert and Alan Hughes, they're screenwriters, filmmakers. They're still working today on stuff. So they've been around.
Yeah, they've been around for a while, but they haven't done a lot. I think most prominently you might know them for like films like Dead Presidents.
Oh yes,
they did do Book of
Eli. That needs a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, Book of Eli with Denzel. And they've done some TV work, and I think they got a couple films in the works now. But they primarily jumped out here in the early '90s with this film, these couple films, and this came like right off the hinges of like Boys in the Hood came out like a couple years before this.
Actually, I think came out the year before.
Yeah,
this film and Boys in the Hood I think are very interlocked in the subject matter.
Yeah.
Inner city, Los Angeles, youth, life, African American struggles in life and, inner city, all that kind of stuff. And this film is kind of the more darker or maybe even more realistic of the two, but that's a debate for people to have forever. But I really dig this movie a lot, and this would be a definite worthy upgrade for me. I'm surprised they're going straight to 4K with this and not going to... not just coming out with a Blu-ray. But
no, I guess just is the timing. They just
that's kind of that's what I really like about this release in general is because it's got all the things you kind of want to look for in buying one of these from Criterion. New movie in the collection, perhaps. Brand new edition. It's not a re-release from a Blu-ray or a DVD. So it's kind of what I was expecting from them a little bit, but. First up here, we have a new 4K digital restoration of the director's cut of the film, supervised by cinematographer Lisa Rinzier and co-director Albert Hughes, with 7.1 surround DTS HD Master audio soundtrack. In the 4K UHD edition, you get one 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision, HDR, and one Blu-ray with the film and special features. The one thing we kind of glossed over, Stephen.
What do we do?
These are going to be 4K UHD and Blu-ray combo packs.
Yes.
Of the movies.
Return of dual format.
Which is another scandalous discussion.
I actually do want. I don't want to cut into this rhythm I'm in, but I do want to get.
Let's jump into that on the last one too, since it's
we'll jump into that last because I wanted to get Matt's take on the early iteration of this experiment from Criterion. So moving on here, we have original 2.0 surround soundtrack presented in DTS Master Audio, if you want that. 2 audio commentaries from 1993 featuring directors Albert and Alan Hughes. Gangsta Vision, a 2009 featurette on the making of the film. New conversation among Albert Hughes, screenwriter Tiger Williams, and film critic Elvis Mitchell. Cool to see Elvis Mitchell back on something like this. A new conversation among Alan Hughes, actor and filmmaker Bill Duke. Ooh. Really cool to see him. And Mitchell, I'm assuming they mean Elvis Mitchell. Interview from 1993 with the directors, and then deleted scenes, film to storyboard comparison, trailer, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, plus an essay by film critic Craig D. Lindsay, and then new cover by Sister Hyde. Cool.
I will say, doing a little bit of Googling over here, I do believe that this was a Laserdisc release, and that those two commentary tracks from 1993 are from the Criterion Laserdisc.
Nice. Thank you for doing that heavy lifting.
This is.
Are you speaking of which? Are you looking to get this movie?
Yeah, I have not seen this, but I think I'll probably buy into this kind of whole early slate of 4K releases from Criterion, even if just to check out kind of what they're doing with this. And I don't really have a lot of familiarity with this, but I think I'll probably pick it up.
Most definitely.
Steven, I assume you're upgrading?
My Blu-ray's terrible.
I don't even remember what's on it.
And it's like in an eco case, and it's like terrible cover.
No.
We'll be upgrading this. But
when are they going to get rid of those eco cases?
Yeah, but that I saw you kind of raise your voice up a little bit when you saw 7.1 surround sound.
I did, because I wasn't expecting that.
I was like, damn! It's like, is the bullets going to be like everywhere? You're like really going to hear like the gunshots, just like you're going to think you're in trouble. I'm trying to remember. Has Criterion gone that high with the channels before when it comes to audios? I don't think so. I think it's the 4K. I mean, I think
usually those are used for like modern day blockbusters when they get released in 4K, like your Marvel movies, your DC movies, your summer blockbusters.
Yeah.
Those get 7.1 releases all the time. Usually boutique stuff, not so much.
Well, you can say this for Criterion. They're going the extra mile with their 4K. With HDR and all that stuff like that. So they decided to do it, and they're going to do it all the way. So that's just what Criterion,
I guess so for a movie like this. But yeah, so the Menace to Society original release was from Warner Brothers in 2009. So, and we were just talking earlier about Warner Brothers handing out their movies to other companies. Looks like they're doing it twice over in this slate with Menace to Society and then our next film. But yeah, 2009, all of those Warner Brothers movies from the late 2000s need re-releases anyway. So that's good that we're getting it. And when it comes to special features for that original release, Interview with the Hughes Brothers and then Gangsta Vision, I think, are the only
They got that feature, thank God.
And they got both of them on, I think they got both of them on this one. So Warner Brothers just handed those over.
Yeah.
That's nice of them. Because usually sometimes that doesn't happen. So that's Menace to Society. A definite buy for me. Definite upgrade. And now we've come to it at last.
The movie K.
The big one.
The movie K.
A movie apparently just called K.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it is.
Wonder what the K stands for.
No idea.
Yeah.
But it is what many consider to be, perhaps, the greatest film ever made. Citizen Kane by the legendary Orson Welles.
The original #1 film in the collection with the laser discs.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because I know Grand Illusion was the #1 with the DVDs.
That's why people were going crazy about this being the 1000th title originally, because they thought, hey, if this hits 1000, that would make sense because it's the one from the laser. And then when they got to the 1100, they were like, oh, maybe it's 1100, and then it didn't hit 1100. So yeah.
Yeah. This may be. I've been collecting movies since like 2007 or so. This may be the most anticipated release of my lifetime.
No, come on now.
To be honest, this is like.
Really?
Yeah,
you already own the movie, though.
I do, but not in this, not in this fashion. This is first of all, this is a 4-disc set, just for one movie, from Criterion, and I have the Blu-ray that was released, early 2010s, and Orson Welles is probably one of my most favorite people ever in the history of film. I mean, I've talked about him and his movies constantly on here and on my YouTube channel. Everything. So this movie kind of means, and I usually watch this movie like once a year. So this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
We don't have to sell Citizen Kane to people.
Yeah, I'm not selling Citizen Kane. That's why I need you to read it because I told you.
I mean,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
I was gonna gush about it, Steven. You got to reel me in.
It's only influenced many, many movies.
It's only like the template for perhaps modern day filmmaking, but
But let's talk about what's important here, and that's the cover.
Yes.
The cover is the most important thing here.
It is indeed. So all we have here is a minimalistic K, obviously for Charles Foster Kane, the protagonist, if you will, of the movie, played by the great Orson Welles. And there's been a hot debate over the last 2 weeks or so about this cover. And a lot of people hate it, a lot of people like it, some people are in the middle.
Matt,
Matt, our guest, what do you think?
So first of all, the collective internet insanity over this cover is out of hand for what is regardless of your level of anticipation. I understand the movie's already out in beautiful form, but for what is one of the most impressive, unbelievable sets that Criterion has ever put out. I mean, just between the special features and obviously the restoration, I mean, an unbelievable package. The insanity is a little bit, out of hand in my opinion. Personally, I really like the cover. I like the minimalism. I like the sort of larger than life nature of the single character, this sort of single isolated character, much like Charles Foster Kane is in Citizen Kane. And I fully anticipate that, I mean, this is a 4-disc set. It's not going to be in a little plastic box. And I fully anticipate that this minimalist K is going to be incorporated into some type of additional beautiful packaging, some type of box set fold out type packaging that is, I think gonna stay in line with that theme of minimalism. And of course, it's been much sort of talked about online that the K is the K from the sort of Citizen Kane title card at the beginning of the movie. But I'm a big fan of the cover art. I think it's I think it looks nice. I like minimalism like this. And more importantly, I think what's inside is going to be just spectacular.
Contrarian. You just like it because nobody likes it. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of fall in there that I don't mind. I mean, I'm not as enthusiastic as you are maybe, but I don't really care, to be honest. I mean, I think what we need to remember about boutique labels, though we do, I'm me like a lot of people. I fall in love with a lot of these box sets and things. We talked about the Mae West set. Yes, I'm a box set whore. I love a nice box set. I love great artwork. But ultimately, what matters is what's inside. Inside the set, what you're getting, what you're going to watch, the features. And ultimately, I could give two shits what this looks like. It's Citizen Kane. It's going to look... the film's good. The features are great. I could care less, to be honest, as long as it doesn't fall apart on me and it's in the set and the discs are safe.
I'm hoping for give me the old accordion fold out digipack type style, so the discs are all secure and they're all, not moving around, not glue coming undone and discs sliding around like the Ice Capades. For me, I don't mind it. I don't mind the minimalism of it. Would I have liked a more elaborate and lustrous cover? Perhaps maybe maybe even just the original poster would have been cool. Yeah, perhaps. Is it going to deter me from buying this? No. Obviously, you just heard I want this thing more than most things in life right now. But,
since he was born, he was like, I was
born for this.
Criterion, Blu-ray, 4K, please. Before he even knew what 4K was or Blu-ray, he was like, Blu-ray.
Yeah. I mean, before it even existed, it was like a prophet.
Yeah.
But Stephen just mentioned the most important part is what's inside of this set. And what is inside of this set is quite an abundance of stuff. So let's dive into this thing. Like we've said, a 4-disc set, so should be a lot.
Did you take a drink of your water before you...
Oh, I probably should.
Yeah.
I probably should, because this is going to be
water
a
drink break.
3-hour tour.
I do want to tell you right now, just noticing your water bottle, I think I have exactly that same bottle somewhere in the house. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's really, funny
it's
that
the one I use all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put the bottle. I'll take a picture of the bottle and put it online so you guys can see what it looks like. God.
Oh, good.
Don't get upset,
just so
guys.
That is really super important at this juncture of the show. But we're getting a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed binaural soundtrack. In the 4K UHD edition, 1 4K disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and 3 Blu-rays with the film and special features. We are getting 3 audio commentaries from 2021. featuring Orson Welles scholars James Nairmore and Jonathan Rosenbaum. From 2002, featuring filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich. And from 2002, featuring film critic Roger Ebert. The Complete Citizen Kane from 1991, a rarely seen feature-length BBC documentary. New interviews with critic Farron Smith Name. I could never know how to pronounce her name, and I always feel really bad about it. So hopefully one day she'll tell us how to pronounce it. And film scholar Raquel J. Gates. A new video essay by Orson Welles scholar Robert Carringer. A new program on the film's special effects by film scholars and effects experts Craig Barron and Ben Burt. Interviews from 1990 with editor Robert Wise, actor Ruth Warwick, optical effects designer Linwood Dunn, Bogdanovich, filmmakers Martin Scorsese, Henry Jagla, Martin Ritt, and Frank Marshall, and cinematographers Alan Davio, Gary Graver, and Vilmos Zsigmond. A new documentary featuring archival interviews with Welles. A new interview with actor Joseph Cotten from 1966 and 1975. The Hearts of Age, a brief silent film made by Welles as a student in 1934. Ooh. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Television programs from 1979 and 1988 featuring appearances by Welles and Mercury Theater producer John Houseman. A program featuring a 1996 interview with actor William Allen on his collaboration with Welles. And then selection of the Mercury Theater on the air radio plays featuring many of the actors from Citizen Kane. And then a trailer, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, and then plus a deluxe packaging including a book with an essay by film critic Bilge Eberi. And the new cover by by Mike McQuaid. I almost made it through the whole thing without doing it.
I thought you were just crying. I thought you just
I am.
You got so emotional over the whole thing. So yeah, it happens.
So beautiful. And this is coming out November 23rd, right in that wheelhouse.
Right at the end of the sale, so that so that nobody can get it. Like the first, like they better stock them up because like everybody's going to go after that.
Yeah, my local store is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
They're always bad. It took me forever to get some stuff from what happens with my store. I'm not going to go on a rant here. Is
yes, you will.
Like they end up stocking up like middle of the sale after I've already been there like twice, and it's like, guys, couldn't you have stocked up like maybe a week before the sale? That would have been nice. Frustrations.
The other thing we wanted to talk about here was about the multi-format.
Yes.
Thing
now
with
we
the
can
disc.
jump into that.
Yeah. How do you feel about I know that's another saga of things talking Criterion-wise, is the multi-format thing. Originally, we had a Blu-ray DVD combos for some releases, and then that kind of got phased out. And now, with these releases, we're getting 4K Blu-rays. Matt, how do you feel about the idea of multi-formats coming back again?
Yeah, so I have many DVD, Blu-ray, multi-format releases in my collection, and I can say with relative confidence that I have never once put one of the DVDs in my Blu-ray player ever. That said, I don't have any massive problem with multi-format releases. Obviously everyone's not quite as 100% on board with the UHD thing. I think maybe at the introduction of something like this, I could see the world where, maybe some of our not totally bought in or maybe more on a budget collectors want to go and pick up this set, want to future-proof themselves and have that 4K disc. They can still enjoy the restoration on the Blu-ray, all the special features on the Blu-ray, and then when they're ready to make that jump, they've got it. So I think it's probably a good thing when you're in a transition to new formats, and I expect, I don't know, I don't think that 4K will ever be sort of the standard, so maybe all of their UHD releases will be dual format, but I certainly don't have an objection to them doing dual format if they want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is primarily just a transitional kind of thing where, a lot of people just have not upgraded their setups yet, and you can't expect everybody to do that. So they'll have to keep putting out DVDs and multi, these multi collections, for a while, I guess. But who knows how often we're going to see 4Ks? I mean, we don't really know. We got we got six releases here, but that might be the 6 for the year. Like, who knows? So, Andrew?
Yeah. I mean, similar to what Matt just said, I bought a bunch of them when they came out. Some have kind of been phased out completely and going out of print and then re-released in regular Blu-ray editions. And I think the much hullabaloo at the time, because this was like 2013, 14 window or so, is that a lot of the people who were just buying the DVDs didn't have really any interest in the Blu-rays at the time. And this was, nearly, 9 years ago or so in that window. I can't do math, obviously. And so they just decided to discontinue it. And I always liked having it because, one, the pricing really didn't change too much when it came to the Blu-ray DVD combo packs. They was still in that $50, that $40 price range, so you would still get the 50% off at the sale, and you would be getting them from the same price, and you would, and the packaging I thought was better, because that was when they started using the digibook packaging, giving us 3-disc releases, 1 Blu-ray, 2 DVDs, or sometimes you would get 2 Blu-rays, depending on the release, which movie was getting a release at the time. I still have many of them on the set, and there were still a few that I wanted to get, and they're still selling a few of them too. There's still a few movies that only come in that dual format set if you indeed want the Blu-rays. So I'm all for bringing this back. When it comes to pricing-wise and pricing changes, obviously this is a new format, new price bracket, if you will, and these releases look like they're going to be about $10 more for the most part. The Citizen Kane release is more expensive because it is a 4-disc set, so it's even going to be another $10, I believe. So the Citizen Kane set will be around regular price to $60, but obviously since it's coming out during the sale, it'll be more in the $30 price range. But the other ones would be kind of in that the regular $50 price range, and then $25 during the sale, which is relative compared to what you were buying them on Blu-ray for, because Barnes & Noble over the last several years has got super, super strict about taking any other discount off that 50%. Go on other days where you could use coupons. Go on other days where you could even use your Barnes & Noble membership, because it's irrelevant because you can't take that extra I don't know if I'm going to be off.
I don't even know if I need to get the membership for next year. It's the only reason I got it was to take 10% off the Blu-rays.
Criterion. That's the only reason. I had it. I think I had it for like 10 years. I may have had it for like 9 or 10 years straight. And it was up in July during the sale, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to renew?" And I'm like, "No, no point.
Yeah,
I don't need it anymore." It's not really taking a lot off of your books in general because the prices are pretty expensive. But I do want to hit on something when it comes to comparing this release with the original Warner Brothers release from 2011. There is 2 special features I was wondering if they were going to make a resurgence, and it looks like I don't think they are. And that is the 2 DVDs that came in that 2011 Ultimate Edition set had The Battle Over Citizen Kane and RKO 281. And one was the documentary about the making of Citizen Kane, and the other one was RKO 281, which was an HBO movie about the making of Citizen Kane. And I don't remember seeing the second of those, or over what I just read. Yeah, it doesn't look like either of those are on here.
Yeah,
Steven,
it doesn't look like it, no. Yeah.
So for those of you who do have that original release, may want to hold on to it if you're a completist.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to get rid of it. I mean, it's a nice, that Warner Brothers set's a nice set. I like that set.
It is a nice set, yeah.
So I would say hang on to both of them, and I mean, as I just said, I got 3 versions of Crash. I mean, if I can do it, you guys can do it with Citizen Kane. I mean,
yeah, it looks like it's coming with 2 out of 3 of those commentaries that are on here that were from the original release and the interviews. But this set, if you don't own Citizen Kane at all, either the Blu-ray version of this or the 4K version of this is probably the definitive one you're going to want.
Well, it's a nice tell that we get something like Citizen Kane back, so that might read for some more comebacks, that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe the, DVD number 1, like maybe we'll get, a Grand Illusion back.
That'd be so sweet.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, sometime, this comes out November 23rd, sometime around like November 25th, we're going to see a flurry of, maybe some of the people who entered the Criterion collection for like the more modern cinema and like who are newer to the classics, and who are going to come in and say, I just watched Citizen Kane for the first time and I don't get it. That wasn't the greatest movie ever made. Because I always tell people, if you're like me and didn't go to film school and you just watch this stuff because you love it, you're not probably going to watch Citizen Kane and then immediately think to yourself, wow, I see it. That was the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Watch the Roger Ebert commentary, because it does a great job of kind of spelling out what about this movie made it so influential and so important that it's considered to be the greatest movie ever made by many. And it's a very enjoyable movie to watch, but I think that many people go into it with an expectation that they're going to see something mind-blowing, and then it's a great old movie from the 40s, and obviously Orson Welles is one of the great directors of all time, and it's a wonderful movie, but I think people are sometimes underwhelmed because they don't know what to expect out of the greatest movie of all time.
I think that's the key right there. Don't have expectations.
Yeah, context is everything when it comes to older films. When it comes to films that are hyped up as the greatest of all time, you got to put them in the context of when they came out and their influence thereafter. You can't compare it to modern day cinema or even cinema after, like in the next era. Cinema is constantly evolving, constantly changing. So it's just a really interesting thing. But yeah, this is a monumental release. We're getting 2 Warner Brothers releases through Criterion, and that really is a rarity.
I brought it up earlier. What if Casablanca somehow made their way?
That could be the next one.
That would be a big one.
I know that there's a 4K restoration of that happened recently or is going to be happening. A lot of these films that we see kind of rumblings about getting new 4K restorations take a few years to come out on Blu-ray, but hopefully they all do see the light of day.
December? Casablanca? No, I'm just kidding.
No, maybe that'll be the next 4K slate whenever they drop that. Could be a year from now for all we know.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for the episode. We did it. We got through talking about the cover of Citizen Kane without killing each other. I think we're all on the same page. That's how it's done, people. Be nice to each other out there. Matt, thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate you talking movies with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. We'll make sure you get some more Indicator to talk about, some more. Just let us know. Just be like, hey man, I really want to talk about that Indicator. I mean, unless you got to go talk about it on the Indicator show, you can come talk here too if you want to. But where can we find you at?
Oh, I'm usually lurking around on various Facebook groups for people who have this same nerdy hobby, so you can find me over there and listen to Indicator Cast, and I'm I'm not going to claim it, but certainly my voice is on there regularly.
Yeah, he's lurking around the pages for these boutique labels in case a sale gets dropped. He's like, here you go. He does it. I don't know how you do it. You're like Dawn of the Discs, where they just know when shit's going down.
Well, it happened inadvertently, and I don't really know how. I wasn't making an effort, but somehow I built this reputation, and now I feel like I have to uphold the reputation. So
now you have to keep doing it.
Now I'm putting in a little bit more of an effort.
Andrew, where can they find your lovely voice?
You can find me. You can find me not only here on, of course, Chasing Labels, but also on my Twitter at Cabzilla06, as well as my YouTube channel, Cabzilla Productions.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. I run all the Chasing Labels stuff, whether it's our Instagram, our Twitter, I do Letterboxd, and I also call that Chasing Labels. And you can see what I'm watching over there. Haven't been able to watch a lot of stuff lately. I'm kind of sad about that. Been really busy. Went to a concert last night. I saw Alanis Morissette. She was really good. It's good, yeah. Nice. And Garbage, which they're not garbage. They're really good too. But I'll just get back on track. Audio can be found on Apple Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, all the major stuff. That's it for this episode. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.